Today, I would like to talk about words. Obviously, I use words constantly, and everyone does when they're talking to each other, and then there's the difference between that and the written word. But I'd like to talk about words in the sense of people are constantly asking me if I repeat myself, like, are you writing these poems for other people? And there's the initial explanation of no, each one is different, but the deeper I get into that kind of conversation, I do find that during certain times I reuse words. There'll be a word that's really important to me that I see come up and it's actually kind of a personal thing, or there's some things that stick with me forever. For years I've been using the word onward, and I know exactly where that came from. So there's some words that are important to me for reasons that I know. And then there are some words that come up again and again and again, and they'll leave for certain times and come back for certain times, and sometimes I'll do a thing called word work. This word work is a way for me to kind of extend my vocabulary. So for example, I'll take a word like potent. Potent is a word that comes up sometimes in my poems that I don't really recognize as something that's personally important. I just know that it comes up a lot and I like it. It's a word that makes me happy. So I'll look at the word potent, and then I'll pull out my thesaurus and I'll pull out my computer and I'll use all these little, avenues to kind of follow this word and see like, oh, what other words are within potent? Why am I using the word potent? What other words could I use in place of that? But also like, sometimes doing this word work, I'll find words that I never thought of before. One time I was doing this in the desert and I found the word flux. And then once I found that word, for months afterwards, I tried to stick it into lots of my poems. And the other night I found the word hound, and I looked up the definition and all the different ways one could use the word hound, and then I got really obsessed with that. So for me, like, a repeated word is kind of a sweet thing. Like, repetition is a form of love. That's something that I always used to say, and I think that that stands with these words too. If I see a word come up a lot, I'm not like, oh, I'm a terrible poet, I'm repeating this word. I'm like, oh wow, that's a word that really means something to me, or that's a word that I really feel like I need to give to people. So there's so many things that I could say about words, but when I really think about when it comes down to this repetition concept, that's what I have to offer. Repetition is a form of love. Maybe when you read the poem that I write you, there's a word in there that really like stands out. And you're like, oh, that makes the poem. Because oftentimes that's what happens in a poem. It's one line or even one word that really kind of ties the whole thing together and is like the key to the poem. So my suggestion is to follow those things. Words are this kind of like cultural box of treasure. There's like infinite definitions within one word because they lead to other things, and there's a whole history behind just certain letters put together. So to me, words are this like mystical thing. Words are, something that provide this infinite exploration, and that seems pretty special.